Hey guys, Scott here. Quick video about 2v8. I wanted to go over how Behavior kind of missed the mark, in my opinion, with attempting to rectify the biggest issues with the game mode, which is the insanely long killer queue times. Now, Survivor has always been fine, but Killer, since it's the new, exciting, novel experience, everybody wants to play Killer, so there's an incredible imbalance between the amount of players in an asymmetrical game. And the end result of that is, yeah, killers basically can't play. You have to wait 15, 20 minutes at a time, and even if you're not streaming, that's still pretty bad. So there's been a number of suggested things to fix it. In my opinion, the only real way to permanently fix this issue is to make the game mode itself permanent, because the key reason it's like this is due to the novel factor of the mode. Once it's no longer the new shiny thing, queue times will naturally just fix itself. That will happen. Like, there's a 100% chance it will fix over time. The problem is the rate at which it will fix. It could take a long time. We could have months of miserable queues for everybody, and that's why it's so hard. To rectify that, I suggested maybe you should have like iridescent shard rewards for Survivor, much bigger incentives, so we can help bridge the gap between what we have now and an eventual returning to like a homeostasis of everyone just like, it's just a cool mode you can play now, and it's not like the, oh my god, it's crazy new thing. So I think that's really the only true way to fix it. But it's hard. It's really hard, and I don't envy the developers trying to fix this. However, I will criticize, because one thing they tried was just stupid. The thing that they tried to do to fix it was make it so that every match that doesn't start in a quick enough time period will have bots on them. The problem is that's every single match of the game. Anyone that has played 2v8 would know that every queue time is going to be over 10 minutes, no matter what, if you're playing Killer. So having this system where we get bots and still wait 10 minutes, they should have known that that's not going to do anything. I understand where they were coming from, but you have to be able to see the very obvious reverse side of that, where the reason people aren't playing Survivor is because there's not enough incentive to do so. So when you release a 2v8 mode again with killers that people might not even like Legion, for example, in 2v8. I know a lot of people don't like it. I don't mind Legion, but I know a lot of people don't like them. So you have a killer that a lot of people don't like, so that's being added to it. And then you're going to have, all the things that really just make it so this is not going to be a smooth experience for survivors. And then on top of that, we now have bots like adding to that problem. So there's already not enough of an incentive to play Survivor, and now you're going to have 2 bots on your team guaranteed every game, which is even less incentive to play Survivor. So the queue times are faster because less players are required, but at the same time, now there's less survivors playing the game. So you've just traded one problem for a new one. And in fact, this is just objectively worse, because now you're waiting the same amount of time as Killer, but now the survivors just have 2 bot teammates. So now they're even more miserable. So you haven't really solved anything, and really all you did was just make things worse. So I don't know how they didn't see this being an issue. Anyone that saw this bot suggestion, and it was met with, a lot of backlash immediately, and for good reason. It's a very obvious outcome to what's going to happen here. It seems like they're not really understanding the main reason is there's not enough of a draw to play Survivor. And don't get me wrong, when played correctly, the Survivor role in this mode is stronger than Killer. This is absolutely a Survivor-sided mode. The problem is there's no MMR, really, because the queue times are so bad. So the search or matchmaking gets so wide that it's just a random grab bag of shit. So your chances of getting bad teammates are probably going to be way, way higher. So although the mode itself is actually in favor of Survivor due to the matchmaking and the lack of communication and stuff like that, it still ends up feeling like it's killer-sided. But, if you get people, you don't even need to be in a group, just people that know what they're doing. If MMR even slightly works, the amount of broken shit survivors can do in this mode is unreal. Like, we saw this last time too, where people were doing generators in 1 second, chaining that progress to another gen and doing that generator in 1 second. Like, you can do some hideously broken shit as Survivor in this mode. But because matchmaking doesn't work, you can't expect random people that you're playing with to have the coordination required to do that. And so it ends up being frustrating. So again, how do we fix this? I've already highlighted that. I'm not going to repeat myself before. But I do just want to comment on how I think Behavior really missed the mark with this whole, trying to rectify the queue times by having bots. That was just a terrible idea. It's not helping anything. It's the exact same issue we currently had, compared to last time, except now the survivors are even more miserable. Other than that, sadly, it's still the most fun in the game for me. I played for like 8 hours straight yesterday. It was the most fun I've had again since the last 2v8. I fucking love 2v8. It is by far the most fun mode of the game for me. And I think a lot of people agree with that because every time 2v8 happens, the player base spikes up by like 50%. We went from like 34,000 peak players to like 66,000 peak players. So it's always a giant boost in players. If people want to play this mode, the main problem is killers just can't do it. They just don't have the ability to do so because they have to wait longer than is reasonable. And we need to really address this. 2v8 mode is great. They just need to actually make it a playable mode. And the attempt they had here was just a complete failure. I don't mean to be negative. Like I'm singing the praises of 2v8 by itself because I think 2v8 mode again is the most fun in the game. It is just nonstop chases and just chaos and silly shit and your killer teammate nodding at you and just the silliest shit ever. I love 2v8, but it's just never going to work unless we can fix this issue. So make the mode permanent, make iridescent shard incentives until it eventually equals out. I think that's the only possible way you can do it, or at least just experiment with not making it permanent and just doing Eerie Shard incentives. It only lasts a week or two. It's not gonna, break the economy. You might lose a couple of $1,000s or something like that in possible future sales, whatever. Just make the game playable for the next 2 weeks, or it's just going to make everyone so miserable. It affects regular queue times. It just has a negative impact on anything, so much so that I am both dreading and loving when 2v8 comes to the game, because as a streamer, it's really hard to make content out of 2v8 because I would prefer playing Killer, but I end up playing Binding of Isaac for 80% of the stream instead of playing Killer. So not that I hate playing Isaac. It's a great game too, but it's just, it needs to be fixed. And I think that's the only way to actually do it. So curious to hear your guys' thoughts on 2v8. Like I said, it's just a ton of fun for me and I would just want to play more of it. That's it. I just want more of it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.